Thank you for joining us for this webinar, Distance Yourself Through Selling Tactics. Presenting today is Don Farrell, who's been in the training business since 1986 and delivered presentations like this one 1,500 times, in addition to 2,500 training events. In this presentation, he'll explain how to capture the lion's share of any kind of customer requests that you get. He'll speak for 50 minutes, and then we'll have a 10-minute Q&A at the end.
All right, Gavin, thank you for that. All right, so as Gavin pointed out, we're talking about distancing yourself through selling tactics. What does that mean exactly? So you've got consumers, guests, customers, call them what you will, people that buy your product and your service. They're trying to get into your building, they're trying to get into your business to actually do business with you, but they also have your competition who they may also be contacting. So today is focused on how do you convert most of the inquiries that come into your business into an actual sale. It's a great place to start in your business when you're trying to maximize your revenues, all right? So that's what we're gonna focus on today. And speaking of ways of distancing yourself, there's basically three ways to do that. Number one is through your service levels and how you communicate that, right? And how do you deliver that? The second is through your culture. How unique are you? What are those things that you do that others try to do, but you do very well? So culture is another way to distance yourself. And then of course, the easy one is if you've got an attribute or a physical advantage over your competition, that's another way to distance yourself. So today we're gonna get real tactical, we're gonna get real practical. We want you to be able to take what you hear today and actually use it immediately to drive more business to your bottom line, top line, all right? So let me make a suggestion. If you haven't already gotten a piece of paper and a pen or something to write with to take notes, please run and do that right now. Why? Because if all you do is listen to what I'm saying or anybody says anything for the next 50 minutes, you're gonna retain 10%. Studies have shown 10% retention. If you actually take notes, it's closer to 70% retention. Now, there's a way to get it to 96%. What you really want to do is to teach the new stuff that you just learned. And when you teach it, you're learning and you're retaining. So, step one, go get something to write with, go get something to write on, and take some notes, all right? So the mission for today's audience, B&Bs, campgrounds, and hotels. That's the majority of you watching today. Now, I'm gonna use examples. I'm gonna focus on B&Bs because of the interest of time. I can't do examples for all three at the same time. So I'll use examples in the B&B world. It'll also work for campgrounds and hotels. I think you'll find that to be the case, all right? So let's talk about something that I ask every single audience wherever I go, and I've asked them all over the world, all right? So at the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month, end of the year, every single person that's listening to this presentation today has one goal in life and when it comes to their business, to drive satisfaction with their consumer. It's an easy question, right? So that's the name of the game, driving satisfaction for your guests and your consumers, right? That is the answer I get, not 99% of the time, 100% of the time. And I'm here to put a little twist on that. I'm going to tell you it's the wrong answer. Our goal should never be to drive satisfaction. Why? Look at the definition of satisfaction, and I'm telling you, it looks more like giving people what they expect. Is that what is that what we should be driving to our consumer? Or is it something else? It's driving more than they expect. And when you do that, you drive loyalty. Loyalty is what you're shooting for, not satisfaction. So how do you deliver loyalty? Deliver more than the consumer expects. When? From the very second their impression of your business starts. And it starts many times with a phone call that we're going to focus on. It's going to start when they hit your website and maybe click on the communication tab and say, look, I've got a question about your facility. Or somebody just walks up to your counter or your desk and says, hey, do you have availability? Do you have space? All right. That's what could be happening and is happening. And we've got to start driving loyalty right there, right then. Okay. So 3 things happen when your consumer is loyal to you. Number 1, They will only use you. New competition comes in, somebody's got a cheaper price. No, they'll use you because they know you'll deliver more than they've ever expected before, okay? Number two, they will tell their friends and family. Nobody, but nobody listening to this call today, including me, has enough money in advertising. And the best form of advertisement, you know what it is, and that is word of mouth. You drive word of mouth when your consumer is loyal to you. We need that, you need that, okay? Number three, and this is one most people don't know about, and that is when your consumer is loyal to you, they're gonna run into a problem eventually. Look at all the things that could go wrong with an experience at your facility, all right? There's a lot of ways things can go wrong. We forgot to deliver towels, we didn't clean their room, the site that they wanted at the campground isn't available even though we told them it would be. On and on and on. Look at all the opportunities for error. And at some point, something bad's gonna happen. And when it does, if your consumer is loyal to you, they're gonna be much more forgiving. So loyalty drives a consumer who's much more forgiving and understanding. They're gonna say, oh man, I know they're working hard to fix it. They're bleeding for me. They're gonna get it fixed. They're gonna get it right, okay? So we don't wanna drive satisfaction, we wanna drive loyalty. So everything we talk about today has to drive loyalty. It's gotta be better than what people are expecting, all right? Quick and dirty on me, so you've got a reference point, because who is this guy? Has he ever owned a campground or a B&B or a hotel or any of that stuff? The truth is, I started in the hotel world when I was 15 years old, and I started as a pot scrubber for Marriott hotels and worked my way up through the entire kitchen, front desk, bellman, room service waiter, all that stuff through the entire operation, winding up in the sales office where I really wanted to be, okay? And I spent the next 12 or so years in different sales capacities for mainly hotel companies. And at the end, I was in senior sales positions, leading efforts throughout the entire country, all right? So I used all of that experience and started my first training company in 1986. It went on to become the largest training company in the world. We have licensees in 44 countries. We had well over 10,000 hospitality clients. We had 383 associates, and we were an icon in the hospitality world. People, when you said our name, people knew who we were. I sold that big company in 2007 because I didn't want the biggest company anymore. I wanted to start the best company when it comes to training. And in 2007, I sold the big company, started a company called Fresh Revenues, which I own today. And we focus on four things. Number one, revenue generation. Two, how to get service levels up and driving loyalty. Number three, the culture. How do we distance the culture from the competition? How do we develop the best culture, bar none, so that we attract the best people and hang on to them? And number four, leadership. We're very tactical. Most people have the same strategy. They want to make more money, and that's terrific. In a lot of cases, they just don't know how to do it. That's where we come in. We get real tactical with them. We show them. We don't tell them how to get it done. All right, so that's a quick and dirty on me. Inbound formula. So let's just pretend it's a phone call. And again, this can apply to people walking in without a reservation. This can apply to people hitting your website, asking you questions. So we're focusing on the inbound. It's low-lying fruit. It's the first place you should work when it comes to driving loyalty, because this is when loyalty begins or it doesn't begin, okay? So inbound formula, we're going to assume for a second that you're a high volume, meaning you're getting a lot of phone calls, you're getting interruptions, people are coming up to your desk, stray dogs are walking in. Whatever is happening, there's a lot going on at that desk, okay, or the inbound call is coming in. So we're going to structure this so that we're ready to deal with that, quote unquote, being too busy to do this right. We're going to talk about how to make that work, but we're going to focus on pretending that you're super busy. And if you're not, it makes it a lot easier to do this stuff. But if you are, we're going to show you how to deal with it. All right, so let's start with something simple. Let's pretend it's the phone we're focusing on. We're answering the phone in 3 rings or less. Why? We want to show them that we're well staffed, we're paying attention, and they're important. If the phone rings 7, 8, 9 times, you send the message, of course, that you're too busy for them, When you get there, they're not going to give you the time of the day, whatever the case might be. Now, I got to tell you a cute story. We had a 5-star client we were doing business with. I won't say who. And my trainer followed up a week and a half after they did the implementation of the training. And they were focused on capturing calls just like this. And my trainer asked the general manager, he said, "How is it going?" And he basically said, "Dave, it's going phenomenal, man. You guys walk on water. We're making so much more money. My average rate went up $6 basically overnight. This is phenomenal. The only problem we're having is answering that phone in 3 rings or less. 3 rings. Dave taught the program, answer the phone in 3 rings. So Dave gets on his soapbox and he talks about how important it is to convey that you're staffed and you care. And the GM basically said, no. What I'm talking about here is waiting for that 3rd ring is kind of a bummer, man, because we're ready to answer it in 1 or 2 rings, but waiting for the 3rd ring is kind of a challenge. So we had to change the way we taught it. 3 rings or less is acceptable, all right? Now, you're not going to be perfect with this every time. That is your goal, but the closest you can get to having 3 rings or less, the better off you are. Look at the second part of that, using an upbeat approved greeting. What's more important? And we're going to talk about this in detail later on in this presentation. What's more important? The way you say things or what you actually say? What is more important? It's what people are going to remember. It's how you made them feel is what they're going to remember a week after they leave your facility. They're not going to remember the words. They're going to remember the feeling. So it's the way we say things that is more important than the words. And I'm not saying words aren't important, because they are, but it's even more important the way we say it. Now, an approved greeting. Think about the way we answer our phone. Think about the way you answer your phone. You're listening to this. You're probably answering the phone the same way your competition does. "Thank you for calling so-and-so. This is Bob. How may I help you?" Okay? They're doing it too. Are you driving loyalty or are you driving satisfaction with that greeting? You're driving satisfaction. Why? Because they're not surprised. They get it everywhere they go. All right? So something like whatever's unique about your facility, and I don't mean to go on and on and on in a greeting, a couple of seconds or a second and a half can make the difference. So, Newport's newest bed and breakfast. This is Don speaking. How may I help you? Things like that that distance you from your competition right from the get-go. So when the consumer calls up, they're honestly not thinking about having a new greeting, right? They're not expecting to hear one. But when they do, they're going to go, "Oh, wow, that was cool." Flash of in a split second, they're going to think that, and then you're going to go into your next item. But already you're driving loyalty and already you're distancing yourself. So come up with an approved greeting that's unique. We had a client, a major brand, hotel brand out there, and their big thing was unconditional satisfaction. They guaranteed unconditionally. Nobody offers that. They're the only ones to do it, okay, at the time. So we found out that only 55% of their consumers knew that they had this guarantee, and it was the greatest reason for being there. So we answered the phone, "Thank you for calling my hotel," and we gave the location where we guarantee satisfaction. "My name is Bill. How may I help you?" And they would say, "Guarantee what?" And it would start it off on the right foot. All right. So come up with a unique greeting and certainly say it in an upbeat way. Number 2, in the formula. And you'll notice they use the word formula. The word you never want to use is script. You should never ask your people to do a script. They don't like doing it. They feel like robots. It's not natural. We're offering you a formula. They can put their own words in there. You'll have to approve the words because they're going to say, "I don't like to say this word or that word. I like this word better." And you're going to say, "That word works. So if your heart's in that word, use it." All right? This is not a script. I'll never use that word again for the next how many minutes we have left because it's a bad word. It's a formula. It's flexible. It's flexible based on the consumer. You'll see when we get done. So they call up and they say, "Hey, it's my wife and I. My wife and I are having our anniversary in 3 weekends from now. I was calling around to see if you guys had any availability at your bed and breakfast." All right. So let's just say that's an average call, a typical call. What you want to be able to do is qualify some more. You can ask questions like, "Okay, awesome. Congratulations on your anniversary. What kinds of things did you have in mind when you get here? Did you just want to stay in the local area? Did you want to go see some attractions? Is there anything else you wanted to do while you were here that I can help you with? And in a lot of cases, they're not even going to say they're there because of their anniversary. They're going to say, hey, do you guys have availability on so-and-so weekend? Find out why they're coming. And you could say things like, again, not a script. I said I wouldn't use that word, right? Not something that's pre-prescribed, but it's like, while I'm checking on the availability, can I ask you what brings you to the area? You know, so you got to find out what brings them to the area so you can create value. Number 3, adjust your tone. So you've had enough interaction with this consumer to adjust your tone. Adjust it how? Match their personality. If they're super upbeat and they're excited, so are you. If they're fairly reserved and very detail conscious, so are you, okay? So you're matching their tone. Why? Because when you do that, they feel more comfortable. When they feel more comfortable, they're more apt to like you. When they're more apt to like you, they're more apt to do what you suggest, and that is to make a reservation at your facility, all right? So we're building trust, we're building loyalty. People might be thinking right now, so wait a second, Farrell, is this like smoke and mirrors? No, this is like choreographing. You're adjusting your tone to make them feel comfortable. That's all you're doing. Item 4. So after you've adjusted your tone, you now want to talk about the benefits of your facility, all right? And the mistake that facilities make, buildings make, B&Bs, whoever it is, hotels, the mistake that most of them make is they focus on the 4 walls of the business. And I'm suggesting you get outside of your business. The number 1 reason for probably being at your facility could be your terrific location or location in relationship to somewhere they want to go, okay? So get outside of your 4 walls of your building and focus on benefits in the area. So we're right off highway so-and-so, close to this and close to that attraction. And then you go into 3 more benefits talking about your facility. We have this to offer, that to offer, this to offer, that to offer. I find when they're not trained, 95% of the businesses out there, B&Bs, hotels, campgrounds, offer 0 benefits, or they offer 1 benefit. Not enough. 4 benefits, and you'll notice we haven't quoted the rate yet. That's coming up next. Why do you do benefits before the rate? Because if you don't, you run the risk they're not going to hear you. So let me give you an example. So let me just tell you that the rate on this is $200 a night, and man, here's all the great stuff you get. They're thinking $200. Wow, I wonder why they're $200. The last place I called was $175. I wonder if these guys are trying to rip me off. Whatever it is they're thinking, they're not listening to your benefits presentation, your value proposition, and all they heard at the end was, and we offer free ice. Now, I'm being facetious. Don't ever say you offer free ice, but basically that's what they heard, right? So 4 big benefits as to why they should be there. The 5th thing you do in the formula, 2 options when applicable. So if you've got 2 room type options, if you've got 2 locations in your campground, always offer several options. Why? Because consumers like options. If all you do is give me 1 option, that doesn't feel as good as offering 2 options. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, I've got 3, 4, 5 options. Why don't I offer 5 options? Because it gets more complicated. It's easy for you because you know your building, you know your services, you know your product. They don't. It gets complicated when you start offering more than 2 options, all right? And then you offer the price. So let's recap where we've gone so far. The phone's been answered in 3 rings or less. I've got an upbeat greeting. I'm saying something unique. They say, hey, how about 2 weekends from now, 2 of us, my wife and I. Okay, can I ask you what brings you to the area while I'm checking the availability? Oh, sure, it's our anniversary. Oh, awesome. They get excited, you get excited, you're adjusting your tone. You can say, all right, in addition to enjoying our bed and breakfast, you can also take advantage of so-and-so and so-and-so. We have found that people staying here, which happens often for their anniversary, love the fact that they can go to the market, they can do this, they can do that. So if you want me to tell you more about those options, I'd be glad to. In addition, here's what you can experience at our facility, at our building. we've got this and this, we've got that, we've got this. And I see that I've got two options for you. It's the so-and-so room, and it includes this and that and the other thing. And I've also got a room with a jacuzzi in it, and it's this, that, and the other thing. And the price on both of those is $200 a night or $225 a night for the one with the jacuzzi. Immediately, number 6, don't even take a breath. Ask to confirm. Ask to make a reservation. You're going to be stunned. Are you ready? What percent of untrained businesses that are listening to this call right now, to listening to this presentation, what percent don't even ask to make a reservation? Take a wild guess. 80%. 80% of the employees, the associates, the business owners are not even asking to make a reservation, are not asking for a commitment. And I can promise you, especially the benefits and especially asking people to do something will be the two biggest reasons why your conversion rate, what is conversion rate? For every 10 opportunities where somebody can get into your building, can get into your facilities, you're going to convert 8 out of 10, okay? And when you don't ask to make a reservation and when you don't offer value, the conversion rate's closer to 30, maybe 40% tops. You're going to double your conversion rate. And if you think about the math for a second, if they were to convert 2 or 3 or even 1 more a day at an average length of stay of 2, 2.5 nights, maybe 3 nights, at an average rate of $175 a night, times how many weeks a year can that happen? Oh man, brother, we're talking about into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's what we're talking about here. Do the math, you'll see. So ask to confirm. Now, in a perfect world, the consumer is going to say, man, that sounds so great, make me a reservation. But we don't live in a perfect world. So let's go to number 7. Number 7 is they said, hey, that sounds great. Let me get with my wife, let me get with my husband, and let us get back to you, okay? Now, 55% of North Americans are what we call amiable complacent. What does that mean? That means they like to be liked, which means they don't like to say no to you, okay? They're good people. They're good human beings. But 55% of your inquiries are going to be people that are amiable complacent. That's their personality. And if you were to say the room rate is $3,000 a night, their reaction might be, oh, man, that sounds awesome. Let me tell my wife we'll call you back. Are they going to call you back? Maybe not, okay? So we want to, at a minimum, find out why they are not making a reservation. Gives us an opportunity to overcome their objection, all right? So what's a way to ask the resistance question? It could be something as simple as, let me start off with the ask to confirm part. Ready? So we offer this, this, and this, and the rates on these two options are this and this. May I please go ahead and confirm one of those for you? The consumer says, oh man, let me call you back. You know, I'm sorry, is there something I failed to mention, maybe something else you were looking for before you leave? And if you do it with all earnesty, and you do it because you really want to know, they're going to hear it come through the phone. They're going to hear it at the desk, all right? And they're going to maybe give you an opportunity more times than not by saying something like, well, man, everything was perfect, but you didn't say anything about our restaurant. You know what? At my bed and breakfast, we do not have a restaurant on site. We do, of course, have the free breakfast in the morning, and man, it's fabulous. It consists of this and this and this. That's just a sampling of what we do. We even do waffles, Grand Marnier, and blah, 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 whatever you want to say about your breakfast. But it is correct. We don't have lunch or dinner. However, we've got 27 options within a 4-mile radius of our facility, and we'll get you directions, we'll get you menus, we'll get you any kind of an option you want. So they're relatively close to our facility. So we kind of have the best of both worlds, all right? So more times than not, you're going to overcome the objection. Not always, but more times than not, you will, because of that resistance question. 8 are the options that you offer. We have restaurants within a 4-mile radius. Let's just say they're asking for a lower price. Is that the best price that you have, that $200 a night? And you're looking at your availability, and you're probably going to fill up. The last thing you want to do is to lower your room rate. Do not. So what you're going to say is, you know what? If you are flexible on your dates, I could offer you a better option for your room rate. However, the weekend that you're picking, is a weekend we're definitely going to fill up. So that is the very best rate that I have. All right. But if you're flexible, I can possibly look at other options for you. Now, if it's their anniversary, they're probably not going to look at another option. But in a lot of cases, they're just coming to get away. They're coming to visit their in-laws, whatever it is, and they can be flexible on their arrival dates. All right. Ask to confirm again. So if you asked to confirm the first time, they didn't say yes, you asked the resistance question, you gave them some fallback options. Does that sound more appealing to you? Is that something that that we can go ahead and confirm another reservation for you? So ask to confirm a second time. Now, let's stop right there. If you overcome the objection, you think you overcome the objection, but they say, no, I still have to check with my wife. Believe them. You're not going to berate them. You're not going to bludgeon them. All right. You're going to say, okay, I'd be delighted to take care of anything that you need. Please call me back again. My name is Don. Be glad to help you. Good luck with your wife. If we need to talk to her, I'll be glad to. But we hope to see you here at the so-and-so bed and breakfast. I wish you the best. Whatever it is you say, you leave them hanging up going, boy, they really, truly cared. I'm here to tell you that I've done this thousands of times where we've trained facilities, campgrounds, especially hotels, B&Bs, on how to use these skills. And by using these skills, your conversion rate's going to be at 80% versus 30 versus 40, okay? It's going to be better. It's going to make you a lot of money starting the day you start doing this. Literally, people that hear these options are using them the same day they heard them. They're converting more tonight. That's how fast it can work for you, all right? Now, we said before this whole formula thing started that we're assuming you're a high volume business. You got a lot of interruptions, you got phone calls coming in, you got stray dogs, all that stuff going on. If you don't have time to do these 9 skills, offer to take their phone number and tell them you'll call them back within 15 minutes. And it could sound something like this. Again, not a script. You give them an example. Let's see what words they come up with. Hi, can you guys tell me what if you've got availability 2 weekends from now and what the room rates are? I'm coming in for a so-and-so. You're too busy. You have 2 calls on hold. Another call's coming in. Somebody's standing in front of you to check in. You could say something like, you know, sir, I'm very sorry. At this point in time, I have several calls ahead of you wanting the same information. May I please get your name and number and call you back within 15 minutes? The first reaction most of your consumers are going to have is, can you just tell me what the rate is? I have a lot of different options. I want to take the best care that I possibly can. I really want to give you the time and courtesy that you need. Can I please call you back in 15 minutes? Oh, well, okay. And the second they hang up their phone, I promise you, they're looking at their watch going, there's no way they're going to call back in 15 minutes. Now, we said you always have to exceed expectations. They're expecting a call in 15 minutes. When do you call back? 12 minutes, 10 minutes, 11 minutes, 14 minutes. Always beat that 15-minute time. Now you're asking yourself, wait a second, what if I can't call them back in 15 minutes? My recommendation to you is my experience leads me to believe they're probably going to call somewhere else and make a reservation. They're not going to wait more than 15 minutes, all right? So you got to be able to call them back within 15 minutes. We track this kind of stuff. My clients track it so they know how many times they have to call somebody back every night. And you as the leader of your business, you're looking at the number of callbacks. And if you see, let's just come up with a crazy number. Last night, you're looking at a tracking sheet that says they made 10 callbacks. Is that number too large? The only way to tell if it is or not is to look how long did it take for them to call back. If they all were called back within 15 minutes, it's not too many. But if you had 3 callbacks last night and all 3 were delivered 20, 25, 30 minutes later, you want to look at possibly swing shifting somebody into that time slot because you're tracking every single day of every single week and you see a pattern. You get a bunch of phone calls Monday night between the hours of 5 and 8 o'clock. That being the case, why not swing shift somebody in there for 3 hours to help you convert those calls? If you look at the math, you're making a whole lot of money making those conversions. How does the math work again? I'm going to give it to you one more time. X number of conversions in addition to what you're doing incrementally. So let's just say you're making 2 or 3 more a day, times your average length of stay, times your average daily rate, times the number of days a year that this is going to happen. There's 365 days in the year. Are you filling up 100 days a year? Probably not. Whatever it is, you've still got available. So let's just say you do fill up 100 days a night. That still leaves 165 days a year where you can make this happen. All right. So do the math. It's going to blow you away. All right. Taking a message the right way. Mr. So-and-so, I have someone standing in front of me wanting that same information. I have several calls ahead of you wanting that same information. May I please call you back within 15 minutes? I really, really want to take great care of you. I don't want to rush your call. I don't want to leave you on hold. Is that okay? You're going to find people are really receptive to that. Think about it for a second. When is the last time you called the cable company or AT&T or anybody, Verizon, and they said, man, your call's so important to me. I don't want to rush you. I don't want to leave you on hold. Can I call you back within 15 minutes? I want to give you the time you deserve. I want to give you the courtesy you deserve. Has anyone ever done that? Doesn't happen. It should happen. Okay. Now, speaking of that, let me ask you a question. Service in America. What do you think most people say? Is it getting better or is it getting worse? Vast majority say it's getting worse. Now, you could say, oh, you know why? Because of COVID, they had to cut staff, people quit, they didn't have the labor. Let me tell you something. I've been doing this poll informally for the last 12, 15 years. Going back 15 years ago, the audience was saying service in America is getting worse. And every single time the audience would say that. That works to your advantage if they've never called you before, if they've never stayed at your B&B before, if they've never stayed at your hotel or your campground before. It works to your advantage because they're not expecting this kind of service. And when they get a taste of it, oh man, they're blown away. Just the sheer fact that you're attempting to do better will impress this consumer, okay? That's why your conversion rate is so high. All right, so what is EQ? We talked about adjusting your tone. That's what this is. So everybody knows what IQ is, okay? Your IQ, intelligence quotient. EQ is emotional quotient, or another way to say it, emotional intelligence. It is critical. It's more important how you say things than what you say, okay? That being the case, and I can't do it right here, right now, we don't have time to do it on this presentation, but you need to get more of an education in this area. There's basically 4 personality styles out there. I'm gonna emulate all 4. Are you ready? The first one we call dominant/driven. Why is there a slash there? Because people who are dominant, who like to be in charge, they're from New York City, and I can say that because I'm from New York City. New York City, they like to be in charge. Sometimes they're rude, they're pushy, they're fast, they want it done now. We call them dominant and slash because they're typically high drive kind of people. They're highly driven, all right? So how do they sound? Yeah, look, my wife and I are gonna be staying at in your area on so-and-so weekend. How much are the rates? What do you got? Kind of thing. And you're going to kind of panic a little bit because it sounds like your dad when he was mad at you, right? And you're like, the rate is this. And they hang up. That is a skill that anybody off the street can use. Don't do it. Use these skills you were taught. And you could slow a dominant driven down by saying something like, it sounds like you're in a hurry. I want to take great care of you. But first, you got to answer a couple quick questions for me, and then I'll give you the best I've got. The more you stand up to this person in a friendly way, the nicer they're going to become, the more respect they're going to have for you. They're incredibly loyal people. They're not cheap, as some people assume, but they are demanding. That's dominant driven. The second personality is ego expressive. Somebody with an ego, now you're thinking negative, don't think negative, has a lot of confidence, all right? They have a lot of confidence in themselves and what they can do. That's fine, okay? / expressive, which means they like to talk, they talk to strangers, they've never met a stranger. It's all about the experience. They're up people and they want to deal with other up people, okay? If they call you up and say, hey man, my wife and I are having our anniversary 2 weekends from now, and your response is, all right, let me check. Automatically the plane just crashed, okay? It took literally a minute, a New York second to have that plane crash, all right? So they're looking for tone. Everybody's looking for tone, but especially ego expressives. The third personality is almost the exact opposite of ego expressive. We call them stable, S-T-A-B-L-E, /analytic, all right? Stable means they're resistant to change. Analytic, because they think with their head more than their heart. They're very calculating individuals. How far is this bed and breakfast away from our house versus another bed and breakfast in a different town? The room rate's $200 at your facility, it's $189 at the other one. Is it worth $200? How much more am I getting? So they're very value conscious people. Picture a CPA, picture an engineer, very calculating individuals, all right? So literally, when we were training hotels, I would do this in the training class. I would say, all right, I'm a stable analytic individual. I'm calling you up and you answer the phone. And I say, do you guys have a swimming pool? Oh yeah, we do. It's a great pool. It's awesome. That's like an ego expressive talking. And that's not who they like. They like other stable analytics just like them, okay? They want more detail. They want more monotone. They want more like them. They want someone just like them, okay? So you need to adjust. And when we do this at hotels that I've trained before, I would say, do you have a pool? Oh yeah, it's great, it's awesome. All right, the last place I stayed, the pool closed early, it was kind of small, my kids didn't enjoy it. How is your pool? Oh boy, you're gonna love it, it's got this, it's got that. No, what they're looking for literally is, our pool has X number of gallons, heated to 82 degrees. It's open from 6 a.m. in the morning to 10 p.m. at night, 7 days a week. They're looking for details. That's who they are. That's how they process. That's how they make decisions. Everything you talk about in your facility is done very calculating. How many square feet in the room? How large is the jacuzzi tub? How many gallons can fit in there? I mean, every minute detail that you know about your facility is important with these folks. Last personality, number 4, is one we talked about earlier. Amiable, complacent. People that like to be liked, okay? So their call sounds like, hi, I was just wondering, you guys, my wife and I are having our anniversary 2 weekends from now. Can you tell me what's available? And you want to tone it down. And the closing technique with them is, you want to be able to be warm, friendly, sincere. And if you're faking that, you're in the wrong job. You're not faking it, that's you. You really do care. You really are sincere, all right? Your warm, friendly tone. And you're comparing things that they're looking for to what you have, all right? And a pinch of dominance, meaning, if you do not have a lower room rate because that's what they want, because you're going to be filling up, you can talk about limited availability. You can stress limited availability. I only have, let's see, I only have 3 of those spaces available at my park. So if you don't make a reservation literally within the next day, maybe even less than a day, you're probably not going to be able to get in because we are going to fill up. Stress the limited availability with amiable complacence, but do it in a warm, friendly way, all right? These folks take a little bit more time on the phone and in person, but once you've got them forever. There's nothing wrong or right about any of these personalities. It's who we are, and understanding more about how your tone impacts their decision-making is gonna make you not only better at capturing revenues, it's gonna make you a better leader of your people, because now you can customize your delivery, your conversation with each and every one of them. Either upbeat, positive people, and you are also doing the same thing. They're very direct and very driven, they're very dominant, you're doing the same thing. You're choreographing your presentation as a leader. There's sometimes maybe nothing more important than that from a leadership standpoint. The other thing is, think about this. It makes you a better parent, makes you a better spouse. I've got 2 kids that when they were 3 and 4 years old were the exact opposites in personalities, all right? My daughter was driven and in your face, and she pushed all the rules and tried to push all your buttons. My son, God forbid, we thought he was comatose for like a year. He would just sit on the couch and drool and smile and laugh, and the sweetest kid you ever saw. Two distinctly different personalities, and you had to deal with those personalities individually if you wanted to maximize your impact on your own children. So this ability to communicate at a high level, it's not just business, it's also very personal. All right, I think we have 5 minutes left. I'm not sure. All right, everyone sells. I stand up in front of an audience, and my audience is 300, 3,000, sometimes 10,000 people. And I'll ask the audience, all right, you, what's your name? I'm looking at your name tag, Mary. Mary, how many salespeople do you have at your location? We have 2. Okay, you have 2 at your location. Bill over here. Bill, how many do you have? We don't have any. Oh, really? Okay. Jack over there, how many do you have? We have 4. Okay, let me ask every one of you. Every one of you. How many people work in your building? Oh, we've got 26 people, and you told me you had 2 salespeople. Guess what? You need to have 26 people selling. Now, they sell differently, and I'll give you an example of that. But we've got to make an impression on our associates that everybody is selling. 2 people is not enough. 0 is not enough. 4 salespeople, not enough. Even 26, because that's how many employees you have, is not enough. You've got to get loyal consumers talking about you as well. You need thousands of salespeople selling your facility in order to maximize, all right? So I'm a housekeeper. I work for you. You're telling me I'm in sales. I don't get it. How can I be in sales? I clean rooms for a living. Well, you teach them, here's an example. You teach them, they're in the hallway, and they're going to their cart to get towels to clean for this clean room. And while they do, here comes a family walking down the hallway. And you say to them, hi, how are you? They're probably going to be stunned because most housekeepers don't have that kind of a conversation, all right? So they're going to look around and go, are you talking to us? And the housekeeper says, yes, how's your stay? How you doing? You're just checking in? How are you doing? Oh, we're doing great. Well, let me know if you need anything, all right? I'm here to help you. I'll be glad to help you. My name is Gladys, whatever it is. Let me know. I'll be here for a while. In fact, I'll be in this hallway for a while, all right? Enjoy your stay. Now, let's just say they run into a family. They've already checked in. You saw them earlier, and you ask them how their stay is going. And they say, oh, it's going pretty good. All right, is there anything we could do right now? Just one thing. Just give me one thing that we could do to improve your stay. What would it be? I promise you, they will be stunned. A housekeeper. If a housekeeper can do it, everybody can do it. If a housekeeper does it, it means everything you do in your entire facility is awesome. Now, somebody is sitting here listening, wait a second, I've got housekeepers that don't speak English. Well, you can communicate using Google Translate or something like that on their cell phone, so they can communicate that way. Or we've even printed up laminated cards that actually had the saying on top, and they would hand it to a guest, and the guest would say, what is this? And it would say, hi, my name is Gladys. I'm a housekeeper in the hotel. I'm sorry I don't speak English, but if you need any of these items down here, and you would have pictures of icons of items. They need batteries in their remote. They want more towels. They want their room cleaned. Whatever it is, you've got an icon on there. Just let me know. It says on the card. They're going to super appreciate it. Everyone sells. Housekeepers, groundskeepers, owners, front desk, everybody sells. It's the only way to maximize. All right, so let's summarize. We covered 5 big areas in 50 minutes. Number 1, we talked about the difference between satisfaction and loyalty. Loyalty is where you want to be. Number 2, we didn't talk about this, so let's talk about it right now. A reality trip. My company makes, Fresh Revenues makes, what we call mystery calls every month. It keeps our clients accountable. We do mystery calls before we actually go in and do training. We actually tape the calls and the experience. I made personally 6 calls on 6 different B&Bs throughout the US. I'm not going to say who they are, but I'm going to emulate them. Are you ready? The first one came out of Select Registries directory. It's labeled as a 4-star facility, B&B, okay? It's close to the beach, nice place by all descriptive descriptions and pictures. Looks like a terrific place, all right? Phone is answered within 3 rings or less. Gentleman who turns out to be the owner, I find out later. Gentleman is the owner. He answers the phone. Thank you for calling Bill's B&B. This is Bill. How may I help you? It wasn't really Bill's B&B, but I'm pretending, right? And I say, hi, how you doing? Yeah, I'm fine. How can I help you? Oh, listen, can I talk to someone about making a reservation possibly at your B&B for next weekend? You know what? He says, we're in the middle of serving breakfast. Can you call back? No lie, okay? I've gotten that. We've probably made 1,000 calls on B&Bs throughout the years. And I would say I've probably gotten that like 200 times. Normally it sounds like this, ready? Sure, we've got all kinds of options. We have 5 different kind of rooms. If you go online, you can see what they look like. But the room rates range anywhere from $185 a night to $450 a night. That's typical. And instead of that, you're going to offer these skills that we talked about here today. And you're going to convert 80% and not 30, okay? So let's keep summarizing. That's reality. You got to get away from that. Number 3, we talked about inbound selling formula, okay? And it's a formula because it's flexible. What does that mean? That means the only specific item that has to come after another item. What does that mean? That means whenever you're quoting the room rate, has to come after you've given the benefits. That's the only hard and fast rule. Everything else can come whenever it's convenient for the consumer, all right? So if they want to mix up the formula a little bit, that's fine. But they can never, ever, ever quote a price before they quote the value proposition. So we talked about that formula. We talked a little bit about EQ, emotional quotient. I'm suggesting you go out and get more of an education on that. Or you call me up and I'd be glad to give you some material on that. But it would take me an entire day, and even then you couldn't learn enough. You don't learn it overnight, but it's incredibly important. Makes you a better parent, makes you a better boss, leader, conversion of reservation requests, sales, whatever it is, it makes you better at that. And then lastly, we touched on getting everybody in your facility to be in a sales position. What do you do for a living? I clean rooms and I also sell. Awesome, because that's exactly what you do. We need you, we're counting on you. All right, Gavin, that's it. Let's find out if we've got any questions. What do you say?
That sounds great. Thanks so much, Don. What a fantastic presentation. Yes, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to submit them at this time. But first, we'd like to announce our next webinar. Get your team on a quest for more reservations, presented by Doug Kennedy, and that'll be on Wednesday, September 14th at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you liked this webinar and like to view any of our past webinars, you can do so by going to ResNexus.com, and under the Education tab and Webinars, you can find our catalog of past webinars. All right, and while we wait for some questions to come in, Don, I actually had a couple questions of my own.
Fire when ready.
You talked briefly about the kind of return on investment that you can expect to see when you apply this formula and these tactics. Can you go over that in a little more depth to kind of demonstrate how much people can benefit from this?
All right, so let's do the math. I'm going to pencil it out right now. Let's say we convert 2 more inquiries a day, Gavin, using this formula. Let's just say the average length of stay is 2.5 nights. All right, 2 times 2.5 nights times 185 on the room rate. Now, here's the question. How many days a year will they do this? Well, they only fill up like 50 or 60 days a year, but let's just pretend they fill up 100. So times 265 days a year, that is $245,125 if you can convert 2 a day. And if I'm lying to you and it's only 1 a day, okay, it's only $122,000. That's incremental revenue, all right? I'll never forget, Gavin. I'll never forget the day that I started working with B&Bs. This is a long time ago, 15, 18 years ago. And I'll never forget sitting down with the owner. And I said, what is your occupancy for the year? He says, we're approaching 30%. And he was very proud of that. I said, 30%? I said, we got to get that to 70%. And he says to me, what, are you crazy? You're going to kill me. I can't do 70%. What he never factored in was, if you were to do 70% and you're making $145,000 more just by converting 1 more day, you can now afford to add staff. to give you time to be the leader you want to be, to give you time to enjoy your business. The number one reason B&Bs actually sell, and the statistic I saw, guys, was the average B&B owner is selling after 7 years of buying the asset. It's because they're burnt out. They didn't realize it was 24/7. Well, it's not 24/7 if you can drive more revenues and afford to hire more employees. All right? So go ahead and make these conversions. Number of inquiries a day, we said 2. Average length of stay, 2.5. $185 a night on the room rate times 165 days a year is $245,000. What could you do, B&B owner, with $245,000? That's how you do the math. Hope that answers the question.
It certainly does, thank you. My other question has to do with the high volume situation you talked about. And I see this as being a pretty common situation where the staff just doesn't have the time to take the call. How effective would you say is the promise to call people back within the 15 minutes?
And we've been doing this for many years, so I've been able to see the math. I've seen the data. Most facilities that use the skills that we prescribe are converting 80%. Places that actually say, your call is really important to me, I don't want to rush it, I don't want to leave you on hold, can I please call you back within 15 minutes? Well, I'm calling long distance. That's okay. You're worth it. I really want to take good care of you. I don't want to rush your call. Oh, okay. Here's my name and number. Great. All right. Guess what the conversion rate is, Gavin? When you call someone back like that, you're already delivering stellar service and they don't even know what your room rate is yet. How cool is that? We've seen a conversion rate of 86% by taking a message the right way and calling people back. Now, I've got very smart clients. You know what they do? They wanted to see if I was telling the truth. So they took an entire day and they told every person at the front desk, don't use the skills. Use the callback formula every single time, even if you're not busy. Tell them you're busy. Tell them you want to call them back. Let's see what happens. 86% conversions. And by the way, as a boss or a leader, I would never, ever ask my people to lie or fib to anybody. So don't do that as leaders, all right? But it's interesting to see that 86% holds up true almost religiously wherever they go, all right? So using the callback formula, tell them their call is really important. You don't want to leave them on hold. You don't want to rush their call. I want to call you back within 15 minutes, please. I really want to take good care of you. When you do that and you call them back within 15 minutes, you're going to see a lot more return for your investment, okay?
Wow, 86%. That sounds great. Hey, thanks so much, Don. And now let's open it up to any other questions we have.
Okay, it looks like we do have a question for you, Don. This person asked, what is a good response in the middle of breakfast when you don't have time to talk on the phone? So it's kind of in line with what we just talked about, but do you have any more insights on that?
All right. You're at breakfast. You use the same example that I used earlier, and that is, I have guests that I'm waiting on right now. I don't want to rush your call. I don't want to leave you on hold. Can I please call you back within 15 minutes? And you got to track it, man. You got to see how often that happens where you're getting that many calls during breakfast. And a swing shift person, if you have to pay them for 4 hours minimum, in a lot of markets you do, you'll see that the math makes perfect sense, even if all they do is convert one more a day. So it is that simple, but it takes discipline.
All right, sounds great. If anyone else has any more questions to ask, now is the time. We'll hang around for just another couple minutes and see if we get any questions coming in.
I have a question for the audience. Did you learn something? We have a chat room, right?
We sure do. Yeah, go ahead and sound off. We got a yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. It was worth it for one person.
That's right. Well, yeah, in the meantime, I'd just like to say thanks again, Don. This has been a great presentation. Oh, we got another yes, thank you in the chat here.
Okay, good.
I mean, I certainly learned a lot as well. I think this is very valuable, and even just the short crash course you gave on the personality types, I think is really valuable as well. And like you said, not only for selling tactics, but also for just general day-to-day life. I find that really, really helpful. So thank you.
Well, I'm glad you did. It really makes it worthwhile, you know? So if anybody has any questions that they think of after they hang up, by all means, here's my contact information. Would love to hear from you. I'll be glad to help you.
One person mentioned they really like the redirected benefits before they're quoting the price.
There's two of the most important things. Gavin, you've gotta create the value proposition, which are the benefits, before the rate, and you've got to ask to make the reservation. I didn't say it earlier, but I'll say it now. If all you do is ask to make a reservation and don't do anything else differently, you're going to see your conversion rates go up 10, 12, 15% just by asking. It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up right here. Thank you again, Don, and everyone else. Just have a great rest of your day.
Gavin, thank you, my friend. Thanks for doing this, you guys. You didn't have to do this. Really, really, really appreciate it.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
All right.